is the worship of the god Samhain. He is the god, the reaper of death. Samhain is said to be the god of the dead, and on Halloween Eve, he called up all the evil, wicked spirits to come out of the ground and to walk the earth. Now, in Great Britain, and over on that side of the world, many years ago, were the Celts, I guess you call them, the Celts, C-E-L-T-S. And they were a group of people who had priests called the Druids. The Druids were blood-drinking, horribly evil priests. They used to take full wicker baskets and put human beings in them and put covers on them and light the baskets where you could hear the human beings screaming for mercy all around the villages. This was an offering to the god Samhain on the eve, which is Halloween.
Please don't do it! We can burn something else, someone else.
Straight to the mouths of hungry gods.
That holiday was so important to the Celts that their priests would go from house to house demanding treats and offerings so that those people within that house would not be harmed. This is what would happen, ladies and gentlemen. The Druids, who worshipped the devil, who had nothing to do with God, who had dragged the Celts into that abominable life, on that eve would teach them that these spirits, these goblins, would walk the earth. And in order to appease them, it was important to offer something to those wicked spirits. It started out where the people would leave just treats, little, maybe food. Because these wicked spirits, they believed, could spoil the milk that came from the cow, could cause death in the home, could cause all kinds of diseases to their animals and their farms and their families. So they'd start by leaving little treats out to appease them. Well, as wickedness grew and the people gave in to this diabolical thing, those treats weren't enough. They began to demand animal sacrifices. And so the people now, and the Druids now, would begin to offer animal sacrifice, shedding blood on the 31st. They would sometimes cut off the head of a goat and put it up on a stick because that was a representation to their god, Samhain. On the night of Samhain, when the wicked spirits would be summoned to walk the earth, they believed they were departed spirits of loved ones. They were not departed spirits. They were demons. When they would come up out of the ground, they would walk around. Well, now the Druids, to go along with these wicked spirits, would dress up. They'd paint their faces in ghoulish looks and walk around in ghoulish clothing and pointed caps. They'd walk around in the night to appease the wicked spirits. On this particular evening, they would go to people's homes, knock on their door, and demand that that night before midnight, a virgin in that family be offered as a sacrifice to Samhain. They would leave, and they'd leave a little jack-o'-lantern. Don't miss all this. A jack-o'-lantern with a ghoulish carving in the face and a little piece of maybe human fat in the bottom, or coal in the bottom of that jack-o'-lantern, lighting up the ghoulish face and telling the people, this is here as a sign that we'll be back at midnight. If you don't produce the virgin, if you don't appease us, your whole family will die. And they would go off with that little cute little jack-o'-lantern we all carve at Halloween, sitting there. When they returned at midnight, if the virgin daughter was not given for sacrifice, that her blood be spilled, a hexagram would be drawn on the door in blood. A hexagram, not a pentagram, a hexagram, which means there's a hex against the family. There's a difference. Not that it means much to us Christians who have the blood of Jesus, but for information's sake, they put a hexagram on the door in blood, and that would mean that by morning, everyone in the house would perish, that they had put a hex against that family. This is what we partake in when we celebrate the 31st. I want you to think about what I just said. The dress up is what the Druids used to do. When you dress up the children, that's what the Druids do. They dress up and walk around in ghoulish outfits. They go from house to house requesting trick or treat. That is a mantra. That is a repetitious comment that is made. Give us, and what the kids are doing today when they go out dressed up is they're imitating the Druids. They're taking part of Samhain's holiday. You can't fix it, folks. You can't scrub it down. This is what they're doing. Little Christian children are walking around, dressed up, chanting trick or treat, partaking in the holiday of the eve of the God of the dead. There's no getting around it. The jack-o'-lanterns that are carved are said to be the ones that they, you know, in lieu of the jack-o'-lanterns that were carved, put on people's front porches. Now we carve them and put them up there, you know, just set them out there, never realizing what we're partaking in. The pointed hat that some of the children wear, the witch hats, and sometimes we put them up in our windows, the cute little witch. Well, the pointed hat means the cone of power. That means anyone wearing that pointed hat operates in divination and sorcery. The witch on the broom that many times we'd hang up in our windows, or sometimes women would buy the little kitchen witches for good luck and hang them up in their kitchens. The witch broom means that she astral projects, she spirit travels from one location to another. That goes all the way back to the Columbian Age.
The Celtic Lord of the Dead, Samhain, is just another name, Samhain, for Nimrod. You study all the myths, all the occult myths of Samhain. He is also a stag god. Has horns just like the stag god of the occult world that is so constant. But this particular time of the year, October 29th through the 31st, those 3 days constitute what's known as Samhain. Everyone thinks Halloween is just a one-night thing, October 31st, but it is not. See, in the occult world, this is a 3-day fire festival. It lasts from the 29th through the 31st. During the time when the Druid priest held power in Great Britain, now the Druids held all power. You couldn't get married without their permission. You couldn't hold any type of official title in the clan without their permission. You couldn't even attend any of their religious ceremonies without their permission. They literally held power over all life and death, and you're really going to find out how in this example. During the nights of Samhain, the Druids would gather at these giant megalithic stone circles. One of the most common known stone circle is, of course, Stonehenge. Just about everyone has seen Stonehenge at one time or another, be it in picture or if they were actually there. This is a megalithic stone circle. It served 3 specific functions. First of all, it was a temple complex. Second of all, it served as an astrological observatory. Third, it served as a place of human sacrifice. Archaeologists have already unearthed, underneath Stonehenge, over 4,000 human skeletal remains.